Hello, my name is Leah. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist, and we're going to talk about shopping at the farmer's market. We're going to start off with a cooking demo using ingredients that you can find at your local farmer's market. Then we're going to talk about what you can typically find at a Washington State farmer's market, followed by reasons you should eat seasonally and locally. And finally, some super helpful tips for shopping on a budget at the market. The recipe that we're going to make is a pan-roasted chicken with honey-glazed carrots and almonds with a lemon yogurt sauce. Click pause here to see what ingredients you need before we get started. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Follow along as we make a pan-roasted chicken with honeyed carrots and nuts. So first of all, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Mine's already preheated. And you're also going to want to preheat a oven-safe skillet over medium-high heat. We're going to start out with 2 chicken breasts. These have been sitting out for about 10 to 15 minutes at room temperature. And the reason for this is that bringing them to room temperature or closer to room temperature is that they'll cook a little bit more evenly and they'll stay more moist in your pan. So these have been sitting out for, again, 10 to 15 minutes and seasoned with a light sprinkle of salt and pepper. So I am using skin on and bone in chicken breast today. These you can typically find at your farmer's market, but you can use whatever cut or piece of chicken that you like. So I'm going to put these chicken breasts skin side down into my preheated pan. But before I do that, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of avocado oil into our preheated pan. You don't have to use avocado oil. You can use any oil that can withstand a little bit of heat. Okay. So now our oil's in our hot pan. Now I'm going to stick our chicken skin side down into the pan. You can hear that nice sizzle. It means our pan's hot. Okay, so we're going to let our chicken sit in the hot pan for about 5 to 8 minutes or until the bottom is golden brown in color. So while that's sizzling away, we're going to get our carrots prepared. You can see we have some gorgeous carrots here with the greens still intact. We're not going to use the carrot tops today, but don't throw these away. Carrot tops are not only edible, but you can use them in pesto or you can throw it into a salad. You can even chop it up like you would a fresh herb. So, I'm going to start by cutting off each carrot top. And again, I'm going to save those for later use. Carrots are a great source of vitamin A, which are good for your eye health. And these ones I just washed super well. I did not peel them. The skin has some nice fiber, and that way you don't have to waste it. You just give them a good wash and a good scrub, and they're perfectly fine to eat as well. So I'm going to cut these carrots on the diagonal, cutting off just a little bit of the end piece where the root was. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to cut these on the diagonal to make it nice and pretty, but really you can cut it in whatever shape or size you want. We're going to be roasting these today. So like the chicken, you can find carrots typically year-round in Washington at the local farmers market, but end of spring and summer is when carrots are at their peak season. So this means they're going to be super high in nutrients, and it's going to be really nice and fresh tasting. So I'm actually going to grab a bowl to put these in. And I'm going to turn our stove down just a little bit. But again, we want that fairly high so we get a nice brown bottom on the chicken breast. So we are going to be roasting these carrots today along with the chicken in the oven. So you want pieces about 1/4 inch thick so it doesn't take too long to roast through. And again, you can mix up your vegetables that you roast with your chicken depending on the season. So right now we're headed into the summer season. So you could also do some nice roasted beets or really whatever else you find at your farmer's market is going to be what's in season. And this recipe calls for 1 pound of carrots. So this is going to be a little bit over 1 pound, which is just fine. More vegetables is better, as I always say. Okay, so I'm going to start with that. I'm going to leave this one carrot for later. This is probably just over about 1 pound of carrots. So next we are going to coat our carrots with some olive oil and a little bit of honey for extra sweetness. So as I mentioned earlier, what I'm using for the chicken is a avocado oil because it has a higher smoke point. But I do like to use olive oil when I have the chance. It's high in monounsaturated fatty acids, which is really good for your heart health. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons of olive oil in with our carrots. And I like to pour the oil in my tablespoon measure first. So I'll show you a little trick. Use the same tablespoon measure as you did to measure out your olive oil. We're going to squeeze our 1 tablespoon of honey in. And since the tablespoon measure is coated with oil, it's going to slide right out instead of having to scrape your tablespoon with another spoon. Okay, we're going to mix that up well so the carrots are evenly coated. Oh yeah, so we've got a nice shiny glaze on these carrots here. Basically you just want to stir it up until each carrot slice is well coated. Okay, so let's give our chicken a little peek. Oh yeah, okay, so this is just perfect. You can see that nice brown color on the bottom. That means it's ready to go into our oven. Okay, so our pan's going to be hot, so make sure to use some hot pads. And straight into the oven. Okay, so that's going to bake in the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes, but we do want to get that internal temperature up to 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'll set the timer for 25 minutes and we'll check it at that point. Okay, so like I said, our carrots are also going to roast at the same time as our chicken. So I have a prepared sheet pan here, just lined with some foil. Not necessary, but it just makes cleanup a little bit easier. Okay. I'm going to spread out our carrots so they're in a single even layer on the pan. And the carrots will roast for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I actually might wait a few minutes to put the carrots in so the chicken and the carrots are done at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside until they're ready to go in the oven. Okay, so next up we're going to make our lemon yogurt sauce. This is a super simple sauce. It's going to be 1 cup of yogurt. This is a plain Greek yogurt, low fat, not fat free. So being low fat, it still has that kind of rich, decadent creaminess, but it's not the full fat Greek yogurt. And again, you can find yogurt at your local farmer's market. So take a peek, see what they have, see what you can find. It doesn't have to be Greek yogurt, but it is fun to try out your local dairy. For this, you will want to stick with plain, however. I'd stay away from the flavored yogurts. And that way you can also control if you're buying the yogurt for other purposes, for just eating, maybe you like it with your granola or plain with some fruits. I still like to stick with plain because that way you can control the amount of sugar. Okay, so in our bowl we have our 1 cup of yogurt, and then we're just going to add a little bit of lemon juice. Lemons you can sometimes find at your farmer's market. And I'm going to roll this lemon out with my hand. I'm using the palm of my hand, pressing down and rolling. So this loosens up the juices in the lemon and makes it easier to get those juices out. Cut it in half. And I have this handy little juicer, not necessary, but it certainly makes things easier. So this is going to be about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice in with your yogurt. You can do more or less depending on your taste preference. And I'm just eyeballing it. I like lots of lemon. Okay. And we're going to season this with just a little bit of salt and pepper. And this again will just be to your taste. So, pinch of salt, a little bit of fresh ground black pepper, and that is it. I'm going to give it a nice stir. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I will put that in the fridge while our chicken finishes cooking. The last step will be to roast our carrots in the oven. Again, I'm going to give it a few more minutes before I stick the carrots in. And then we will be adding some nuts at the very end of the carrots when the carrots are baking. And then we're going to do a little bit of shallot and some fresh tarragon in the pan. But stay tuned. We will do all of that once our chicken finishes cooking. So our carrots went into the oven with the chicken at 400 degrees, and they've been in there for about 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them out, add our nuts, and stick them back in for a few minutes. Okay, so you can see those are getting nice and roasted. As they roast, the carrots are going to get a little bit sweeter, and you just want them nice and tender. So I have a half a cup of sliced almonds, but you can also use pistachios, walnuts, pecans, really whatever nuts you like. You can check out your farmer's market too. A lot of times you can find local nuts as well. So I'm just going to sprinkle these on top of the carrots. And then since these are sliced almonds, they're going to be a little bit quicker to toast than any other nuts. So if you do use a thicker nut like walnuts or pecans, I would leave them in for a couple minutes longer, and maybe pull the carrots out and add your nuts a little bit sooner. So I'm going to stick these back in the oven now. And the sliced almonds that I used were unsalted. I always like to look for unsalted nuts and seeds. That way you control how much sodium you're eating, and then you can also season to taste. So the oven timer just went off for 25 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out and take the temperature to see where we're at. Okay, so I'm using an instant read thermometer. And when you're cooking bone-in chicken, you want to be careful that when you stick your thermometer in, you're not touching the bone because that could give you an incorrect read. So it could read higher temperature than your chicken is actually at. But you do want to stick it in into the thickest part of your chicken. So we're currently at 145, so I'm going to go ahead and stick it back into the oven and watch this thermometer before I take the temperature again. Now that our carrots and almonds have been in the oven a few more minutes, I'm going to go ahead and take them out. I'm also going to recheck the temperature of our chicken. Okay. Again, this thermometer has been washed since the last time I checked the chicken. Looks like our chicken is almost there. We have a few more degrees to go until we're at 165. So I'm going to stick this back in the oven for just a couple more minutes. And one thing to note, when I did put the carrots in to roast initially, I did flip the chicken over so that that nice golden brown bottom is on the top. Okay, so now that it's been a few more minutes, I'm going to pull my chicken out again and fingers crossed that we're at 165. Okay, again, I cleaned the thermometer in between use. Awesome, and we're there. We'll double check this other one that was already at 165 just for the heck of it. Perfect. Okay, so now that the chicken are up to temp, I'm going to transfer them to a plate. I clean these tongs as well. You want to be really careful when going from raw meat to cooked meat. You don't want any cross-contamination. So I'm going to let the juices sit in the hot pan and set the chicken aside. And while the pan is still hot and sizzling, I'm going to add some chopped shallot. You can typically find these at the farmer's market. You can also use onion or green onion instead, or even leek, just depending what's in season and what you can find. So my stove isn't on, the pan is just still hot. I'm going to also add some chopped tarragon. This is about 2 tablespoons. And this is fresh tarragon, so you can use any fresh or even dried herb. But again, the farmer's market is a great place to explore new produce, especially new herbs. So you can hear that the oil is still sizzling in there. So once I give that a little mix, I'm going to add our carrots in. Okay, so we have our carrots. They've been tossed in olive oil and honey and roasted with our nuts. So that's just going to be a really nice flavor combination here with the tarragon and the shallot. So as I've mentioned a few times, you can swap out different ingredients depending on what's in season at your local farmer's market. I would encourage you to even talk to your local farmers. You know, they know what's in season, they know oftentimes how best to prepare different ingredients, or maybe we'll give you some fun things to try. Okay, just gotta scrape the rest of these carrots in here. And I have heard frequently that people maybe don't shop at the farmer's market as often as they would like to due to cost. While sometimes things can be more expensive there, if you go to the farmer's market near the end of the market, near closing time, a lot of the farmers will have things on sale because they're just trying to get rid of the rest of their harvest. Okay. Now that we have all of our carrots in the pan there, we're going to just toss that together with the drippings from the chicken, which is going to be really flavorful. And then I would go ahead and taste this, and you can add a little bit more salt and pepper if needed, but I think this will be really flavorful as is. Okay, and that is it. So, our finished meal here, we have some gorgeous pan-fried and then baked chicken. And we're going to pair that with these gorgeous roasted carrots. And then of course we have our lemon yogurt sauce. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. I would pair this with maybe a whole grain like a brown rice or quinoa to get that grain and carbohydrate component. And I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Now that we've made a delicious dish with ingredients from the farmer's market, let's learn a bit more about what ingredients we can find at a Washington State farmer's market. You probably already know that you can find fresh fruits, vegetables, and herbs at your farmer's market. But did you know you can also find local dairy, such as cheese, milk, and yogurt? Many farmers selling dairy will give you samples so you can taste before you buy. You can also find many different protein options at the market: eggs, meat, poultry, seafood, and even fresh and dried beans depending on the time of year. You may also find some of your other staples at the market, such as fresh bread, flour, and honey. What else have you found at your market? Why eat seasonally and locally? It's cost effective. Yes, there are some more expensive items at the farmer's market, but food from the farmer's market is local food, meaning it doesn't have to travel far to get to you. Because of this, you don't have to pay for this food to be imported or for it to travel a long way. Secondly, eating seasonally is more nutritious. Fruits and vegetables are at their peak nutrition when they're harvested. So when you eat seasonally, your produce has been harvested closer to the time that you eat it. This means that it's packed with even more antioxidants and phytonutrients compared to the produce that's been sitting in cold storage or on a truck. Seasonal local food is also fresher tasting. As you might guess, or even know from experience, food that has been harvested close to the time you eat it is generally more flavorful and has a better texture. You also support your local farms when you shop seasonally and purchase directly from them. Buying from your farmers helps them to be successful and helps save farmland. By supporting your local farms, you're also helping support the local economy, which is a benefit for everyone. Shopping at your local farmers market also builds community. You can chat with your local farmers and catch up with friends and neighbors. Last but not least, you get to try new foods. I challenge you to pick out one item that you've never tried before at your next trip to the market. Tips for shopping on a budget. First, go with a plan. Create a shopping list for items that you plan on using for the week, or even the next week for heartier foods like carrots, beets, potatoes, and onions. It's easy to be tempted by the gorgeous farmers market produce, but it's also easy to go overboard, which can get expensive. That being said, it's okay to go with the ability to be flexible. That's one of the joys of the farmer's market. Ask vendors about their produce, about what's in season, and any recommendations they have. This is also a great way to take advantage of produce on sale. Check out the whole farmer's market before making any purchases. This way you can hunt down the best deals. Bring paper and something to write with so you can take notes. Some vendors have seconds or ugly produce available for a lower price. This is produce that's perfectly fine to eat and just as nutritious, but the appearance may not be up to standard to be sold at full price. Finally, shop towards market closing time. Vendors often discount their produce near the end of the market because they're trying to sell everything. Many farmers market vendors accept SNAP or EBT for payment. Stop by the information booth at your farmer's market to swipe your card and get tokens to spend on eligible items. There is also a WIC Farmers Market Nutrition Program and a Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program. These programs can help you purchase fruits, vegetables, and herbs at the market. Some markets have matching or incentive programs that provide extra tokens to buy fresh produce. SNAP Market Match is a type of matching program that is a statewide program and has replaced Fresh Bucks at many markets. Check out the links next to this video for more information about these resources. Thank you for listening to this presentation. I hope this talk has inspired you to check out your local farmers markets and incorporate more seasonal food into your weekly meals.